everybody? It is LB 3-Point Man. I'm here to do a draft profile on Washington wide receiver John Ross. He is a prospect I believe Bengals fans should have an eye on as a dark horse for the number 9 pick. I'm here to clear up what I believe are some common misconceptions about the prospect and highlight how he could help our Bengals win their first ever Super Bowl. John Ross was a very productive receiver his fourth and final season in Washington. On the year, he totaled 81 receptions, 1,150 yards, and 17 touchdowns. On top of that, he had 8 rushes for 102 yards and 1 touchdown, and 17 kick returns for 411 yards and 1 touchdown. When people think 40-yard dash star, they often think of players such as Darius Hayward-Bay, Dree Archer, and Marquise Goodwin, who are all track stars playing football. So I think that a lot of people, when they saw John Ross break the 40-yard dash record, thought he was more of the same. However, John Ross is not just a track star playing football. He is a football player with track star speed. Even with this track star level speed, he doesn't simply rely on it to run by the competition. He uses a good understanding of route concepts and how to fake out the opponent and fly by them for a wide open touchdown. He has extremely quick feet, which allows him to make quick cuts in his routes without losing much speed. He also shouldn't be labeled as solely a slot receiver after taking the majority of his snaps from the perimeter at Washington. After beating defenders over the top, he is excellent at matching his speed up with the ball to have it fall into his waiting arms. At Washington, he ran a lot of post routes, which is a route Dalton excels at. He's a receiver who is not afraid to go after a block to try and open a lane for the running back. And his last strength is his ability to avoid being pressed at the line of scrimmage due to his quickness and ability to avoid being touched. Alright, now we need to talk about some of his weaknesses as a player, because, every player has some weaknesses. First off, obviously, is his size. He's a short receiver who is also very light with a slender frame. This lends itself to the first point on the screen. He has had an extensive injury history that should concern people. He had 2 knee injuries in back-to-back years in college and was finally healthy this year. However, Ross is having a shoulder surgery before the draft that may cause him to miss some of his rookie season. Obviously, for the Bengals, that wouldn't be decimating because they re-signed LaFell to play wide receiver too, but I'm pretty sure that lots of people want an impact player at 9 to help recover after a rough 26. Ross's size would also occasionally show up when blocking, as corners are able to simply fight through his attempt to block them and get after the run. Ross would have occasional focus drops, but it isn't as big of a problem as, say, Will Fuller was last year. What you see in front of you now is John Ross's route tree percentage courtesy of Reception Perception. I wanted to use this chart to touch on what kind of player John Ross was in college. As you can see, he ran post, out, and curl routes at an above average percentage. All 3 were greatly helped by his speed. On out and post routes, corners are so concerned about not getting beat over the top they react late to his cut. And on curl routes, he was often given so much cushion that completing curl routes to him was especially easy. Despite being a vertical speedster, John Ross ran the 9 route at an average percentage of 20.3%. Now we are looking at another chart also from Reception Perception that highlights his success on the different routes. He had a very high success rate in a lot of his routes, especially 9 routes, out routes, and comeback and curl routes. He had a below average percentage on corner, post, and slant routes. His low percentage on post routes is probably due to the high percentage of post routes he ran compared to the average prospect. An encouraging sign is a 62% success rate on 9 routes, showing he's often able to beat his defender over the top with his speed, which should be his bread and butter in the pro. Alright, now I am going to play some tape of Ross and talk about how it fits in with everything I've said so far and highlights his strengths. This first clip is Ross's only kick return for a touchdown this past year. I believe that Ross could split kick return duties with Alex Erickson as a rookie once he's healthy. In this next segment, what I've done is made a compilation of comeback and curl routes that John Ross ran. As you'll see in most of these clips, these cornerbacks are giving John Ross a mountain of cushion, which allows him to run a short distance, turn, and then push to get past the first down marker. Of course, also very important is the fact that John Ross is very dedicated to selling that he is running a deep route, which is very important for running a successful curl route. He does not give away what route he is running at all. He runs full speed right out of the very gate and then very quickly turns back before the cornerback even knows what's going on. He's also very conscious where the first down marker is and trying to get to it. During this next segment, I am going to touch on how John Ross was used in the red zone by the Huskies. Although Ross's greatest weapon, his speed, is handicapped by the back of the end zone, he is still able to use his quickness and deception to score lots of touchdowns. The most common way he was deployed was if he was manned one-on-one, he would run either a slant or a corner fade. However, due to his quickness and ability to fake a route, it was extremely hard for the cornerback to know which, allowing Ross to get the inches of separation necessary for providing the quarterback a window to throw into. Now I'd like to talk about the part that I'm sure everyone has been waiting for, the vertical routes. John Ross was exceptional at scoring touchdowns from far away, largely due to his speed, although as we will touch on later, that is not the only factor. However, first I have a minor gripe in that Washington quarterback Jake Browning has what I would call an exceptionally bad deep ball. Out of all the tape I found there was only one deep ball that was perfectly thrown where Ross didn't have to do extra work for the touchdown. However, if the Bengals drafted him, Andy Dalton has one of the best deep balls in the NFL. Now, let's talk about how he beats defenders deep. First off is of course his excellent speed, that with most opposing players he's able to simply run by them. However, he is also able to trick them with a good combination of footwork and head fakes, causing the defender to make a minor error, which is all Ross needs to speed by him. Also, due to Ross's ability to beat press coverage at the line of scrimmage, he is easily able to get past anyone that dares to try to press him at the line. These next two plays were two plays I wanted to touch on that illustrated points I just made. Both of these plays were against potential first-round corner Adoree Jackson. In the first play, Ross to me looks like he beats Adoree, but because he has to slow down to allow the ball to catch up, Adoree is able to make a play and stop the reception. And then on the following play, Ross is able to break Adoree's ankles and get wide open for the easiest touchdown of the year. And then finally, the last play I wanted to touch upon was this play against Cal. I wanted to get a real post route in, and this was a great catch. He's able to gain separation from the defender, gather a poorly thrown ball in stride, and keep on going for extra yardage. This is one of the simpler plays you may not see on a highlight reel, but I felt was deserving of being touched upon. Alright, that just about wraps it up. I will do a quick pro comparison and then be off. And, well, there really can only be one comparison, and that is to the best vertical threat in the NFL, Deshaun Jackson. Although honestly, I believe Ross may be a better, more rounded player than Jackson is right now. He has the speed and he does a lot of little things right. The only real question with him is the injuries. Okay, everybody, that is the end of my John Ross draft profile, and I hope you all enjoyed it and learned a thing or two. I hope to bring you many more videos in the future. LB 3 Point Men, out.